Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Hey folks, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and today we're going to be taking a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Guards of Atlantis, and it's from the publisher Wolf Designer. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. There's going to be a link up in the top corner of your screen, and then also down in the description section of the video. Those are going to take you to the official Kickstarter project page. Find out more information than I could possibly tell you throughout the rest of this video, and hopefully consider backing the project. Now, what is Guards of Atlantis? This is actually a game that is inspired by video games in the MOBA format, which I believe stands for Massive Online Battle Arena. You and the rest of the players on your team are taking control of a bunch of heroes who are going out through to battle the opposing team of heroes, but also to deal with their squad of minions. And those are the key pawns here that you're going to be using, because your minions want to invade the enemy throne room and destroy it. You don't have active control over those minions. You have to sort of push their lanes to try and push your minions into the opposing throne room. And you're going to manipulate them using your heroes, wiping out enemy minions, taking out the enemy heroes in order to keep them from impeding your progress, and so on and so forth. There's a leveling up system, which where you buy cards for by using coins, and all of these different things. So let me go ahead and give you a brief look at how the game is played with a prototype version of the game. So the final version of the game may look different than what you see here. Then we're going to come back. I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of Guards of Atlantis. This is a competitive team-based game. Think of this as a MOBA video game and a battle arena type game. Each team is going to take control of multiple heroes that you're going to put in the spawn points on your particular throne area of the board. You're going to have the technology team, which is the Atlantis team, and then you're going to have the Titan team, the blue team, which is the magical team. So these heroes are going to go against each other, and the way that you're going to try to defeat your opponents is by pushing your minions. You have different minion miniatures that'll be out here in the center of the table. And your team's miniatures are going to try to push into your opponent's lane and then into their throne room, and that's going to win you the game. But of course, your heroes are going to be, the main guys, are going to be moving around the board, trying to manipulate the battle, trying to keep the enemy heroes at bay, and also trying to take out the enemy minions to push the odds in their favor. So for the setup of the game, there's actually icons in the center dark green area that indicates where to put your faction's minions. And then there's the spawn points, which are the little stars underneath each of the heroes' spawn points, where you're going to place those. You're going to have a bank of coins that you're going to keep off to the side of the table within reach of everybody. And each player is going to have a deck of cards. Now, at the start of the game, you're only going to have access to 5 cards. A hold card and 4 Tier 1 battle cards for your character. The rest of the cards you're just going to leave off to the side because you're not going to get them until you potentially level up. So that is just the general setup of the game. Now, how does it actually work? Now, at the start of each round of play, a few things are going to happen. First off, in every round after the first, you're going to gain a coin from the bank. And you're actually going to gain coins in a number of different ways throughout the game. You're going to gain them for taking out enemy heroes, equal to twice their level. Taking out normal enemy minions or ranged minions is going to get you 2 coins. But if you take out one of the fat minions, one of the bigger ones that's out on the board, you're actually going to get 4 coins. Now, the coins are important because those are what you're going to use to level up. In between matches, you're actually going to be able to buy your better tier cards out of the rest of your deck, replacing the cards that are in your hand, except for your basic action card and your hold card, which I'll explain in a moment. So that's why coins are important. You want to try and get them as much as possible in order to get stronger from match to match. Now, here's how the basic gameplay is going to work. You're going to take your hand of your starting hand of 5 cards, and every player on each team is going to take one of those cards from their hand, and they're going to put it face down. Once every player has locked in a card, You're going to all simultaneously flip over and then resolve the cards. Now, every card has an initiative number up in the top corner. Whoever has the highest initiative is going to resolve their card first, and then you're going to go down in descending order. If there's ever a tie, ties go to the blue team, the Titan Magic team. Now, what do these cards do, you may ask? Well, let me show you just one example of some of the cards here in the game. This is for one of the Technology Atlantis faction cards. So up here, like I said, you have the initiative of the card. Up here is the tier of the card. This is one of the tier 1 cards that you start off with. Then you have the stats of the card. When you use a card, you can use it for multiple things. And amongst those things, you may use it for defense. If someone is attacking you, the shield is how much defensive power you have to try and block that attack. You play the card from your hand. And it can, if you are equal, ties go to the defender. So if you're equal to or higher in defense than the attack coming at you, you successfully block it. If you fail, you're essentially knocked out and you have to go back to your respawn point out on the board. Then you have the movement rate. Very simply, you get to move that number of spaces on the board. Now, alternatively, instead of moving normally, you can do a fast travel, which lets you move anywhere within the same area that you're in or adjacent. Then you, of course, have attack, the cross swords here. That is the attack value you use if you're attacking someone else. Many cards, now this one happens to just have like a tip, basically flavor text, because this is the basic attack melee card. But some of the cards will have special abilities. So alternatively, rather than doing any of that, you can use the special ability of the card. So this one says, attack melee, move 1, and then move 1 after resolving the attack action. So if you use its first special ability, you're attacking and then moving, a hit and run. Or quick fingers here says that you take a coin from an adjacent hero if you use that skill, which might be more important to you at that particular time rather than winning a battle. Dodge lets you simply discard a non-basic attack, and then every character has a hold card. If you play a hold card, you are essentially skipping the rest of the rounds. You can't play cards during any of the remaining turns, of which there are 4 turns in a round, so you are saying, I'm out of this. But you can still discard cards to defend. You can never discard the hold card, so you will always hold on to this, no pun intended. And that's really the core of the game. You're playing these cards face down to manipulate the heroes that are on your team to get them out onto the field and to start doing battle both with your enemy against the enemy minions, but also against the enemy heroes. Now let's talk about those minions for a bit, because of course that's another important part of the game. Players cannot directly control or move the minions in the center of the board. Instead, this is sort of like the heroes manipulating the minions, and then they will have certain behavior based on what happens. So for instance, if within a particular area there are more minions of one faction than the other at the end of a round, then one minion gets lost from the losing team. It's like basically the more minions there are, they just start to overwhelm and outnumber the opposing faction, and you have to lose another minion. If at any given time there are no minions left in one particular area of the board, if there's none of one enemy faction, then all the faction's minions go forward 1 towards the opposing team's throne room. So that's going to put you more in the danger zone. Because again, if your enemy, this is called pushing lanes, by the way. This is another thing that is in some MOBA games. Because the dangerous thing here is that if the enemy minions can get into the opposing throne, they're going to destroy the throne, and that is going to be the end of the game for those players. So you don't want that to happen. Note as well that the different types of minions have different types of stats and influence on the battle. So for instance, you have your standard melee minions, and those are just going to give either +1 defense to friendly adjacent units, your team in other words, or they're going to give -1 if it's the opposing team. And when you take them out, you get 2 coins. There is a smaller ranged minion for each of the different factions, this one here, and those are actually going to give the same type of thing, but they affect an entire area. So an entire area, every enemy unit in that area takes -1 to their defense, and nothing happens to the good guys. And taking them out also nets you 2 coins. However, the fatties for each team, which are the really big units that each team has, those get you 4 coins if you're able to take them out. And they have the same kind of stats as the melee unit. They have -1 to defense or +1 to defense, depending on what faction is next to them. However, they are a lot harder to take out. They are immune to the special effects of the heroes. So you just need to straight up destroy them somehow. So that's the thrust of the game. And again, if the game doesn't end, and I'm sorry, I might have misworded this before, at the end of a round, you are able to buy higher level cards for your team if you want to, using the coins that you've accrued. So you're going to have an entire round, which is going to be 4 turns, playing at least 4 cards, and then you're playing 4 cards. Then, once everyone has done that, if one of the game end conditions has not been met of the throne being destroyed by the minions, then you have a shot at buying new cards. Then you're going to do it all over again using your better cards, trying to take out the enemy. There's also variants for playing with 2 players if you really want to, which will be discussed more on the Kickstarter project page. But that is essentially Guards of Atlantis, a MOBA board game. Now, let's get to my final thoughts. The obvious audience for Guards of Atlantis are people who like MOBA games in the first place, and it definitely has a lot of hallmarks of that style. You can, just by looking at the board, you can tell that of different heroes that you're taking control of who are really powerful, but you also have these minions who you have to use their very mild abilities to the best of your ability in this like really tight area control element going on in the center of the board. But the game has a lot of appeal to people who are also into any kind of miniature skirmish game where you have to tactically outwit your opponent by maneuvering your characters in just such a way in order to really take control of different areas and maintain that control to keep your opponents out of your lanes in this case. So there's definitely a lot of crossover appeal between those different genres. So people who are hardcore board gamers, maybe don't even play MOBA video games, can still appreciate the game for what it is without having that connection back to the digital realm. The fact that you have all of these different characters just in the base game alone, where you are going to have a variety of different skills and powers and different focuses on what different heroes are going to be very good at, and that you're playing in teams so you can accentuate each other's strengths and weaknesses and play those up. That all of that together adds a ton of variety to the game, which is always a very important thing to have in a board game at all. You can also play the game with 2 players. It just requires a little bit of variation, which will be explained on the Kickstarter project page. But because of that, there's also some versatility. So a lot of times when a game is described as a team game, it doesn't necessarily work all that well, but this is designed ground up to be a team game, so it really lends itself to that. And working together again to really tactically outwit your opponents is a very interesting element to the game, together with the minions and using their abilities. And just the whole card buying system, the leveling up that you do in between rounds. It's very fast. The game doesn't get bogged down in it, but it does encourage it. So you want to try and get as many coins as you possibly can just to get better and better and better. You have this power creep that goes on throughout the game where you feel yourself getting stronger. So all these different things are really going to appeal to, as I said, audiences who love video games that have this style of combat, people who are into miniatures games like actual board gamers who are really going to enjoy that. And it has to be said that the game, while it has a lot of bits and pieces and lots of cards and things like that, it's easy to learn, fast to set up, and it's the games are quick. So it's also going to have a lot of appeal to casual gamers as well, and gamers of a younger age. If any of these groups or any of these ideas sound appealing to you, you definitely need to check out the Kickstarter project page. There's going to be a link up in the top corner of your screen, and also down in the description section of the video. Follow those links, find out more information, and hopefully consider backing the project. That is Guards of Atlantis from the publisher Wolf Designer. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.